Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Live Free Legal. My name is Tiffany Lesnick. I'm a domestic violence attorney. I'm a survivor, and I help women just like you navigate divorce, custody, financial abuse, and post separation litigation abuse so you can protect yourself and your children. And today's video is a special one because this is our 100th video, and it is also Live Free Legal's 1-year birthday. And I just want to stop and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing these videos. Thank you for trusting me to walk alongside you in some of the hardest seasons of your life. When I started this channel, my heart was simple. I wanted women to stop walking into court blind. I wanted women to stop being manipulated into bad outcomes. And I wanted women to know that abuse doesn't get the final word. So today, to celebrate, we are doing a birthday giveaway. So here's how to enter. Subscribe to the channel, like this channel, comment in the comments below, happy birthday, Live Free Legal or LFL, and share this video on Instagram, Facebook, in a women's group, or another woman who needs to hear it. If you do that, you will be entered to win a free annual Empower Her membership and a spot in one of our upcoming legal coaching groups. Because it's our 1-year birthday, our goal is 365 subscribers for 365 days. So help us get there. Please subscribe. Now let's talk about something that I know so many of you are silently carrying. What do you do when he lies in court and everyone seems to believe him? If you've ever walked out of a hearing thinking, how did he get away with that? Why didn't anyone see what he was doing? How is he the one looking reasonable right now? This video is for you. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Family law varies by state, and watching this video does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you need specific legal advice, I would encourage you to contact an attorney in your area. Let me say something right away that I need you to hear. The most devastating part is often not the lie itself. It's what the lie does to your nervous system. Because when you've lived through abuse, coercive control, gaslighting, or manipulation, you already know what it feels like to tell the truth and not be believed. And then court comes, and suddenly the very system that is supposed to protect your children and protect your future can start to feel like another room where you are being gaslit. That is deeply destabilizing. Because abusive people often don't lie like cartoon villains. They lie in ways that are polished, partial, strategic, calm, and just believable enough. And that's what makes it dangerous. He may not walk into court and say something wild and crazy. Instead, he says things like, I'm just concerned about the children. She's overly emotional. I've tried to co-parent, but she's so difficult. She refuses to co-parent with me. I don't know why she's making this so hard. I'm worried about her mental health, or I'm just trying to move on. I just can't afford to pay support. And if you've lived with him, you know those words are not neutral. They are often weaponized. That's why so many survivors leave court feeling crazy. Not because they are crazy, but because they are watching manipulation happen in real time. So why do abusers often sound more believable in court? Let's talk about why this happens. Because once you understand the pattern, you stop personalizing it. A lot of abusive or coercive controlling people are very good at image management. They know how to regulate their tone when it matters, look wounded instead of controlling, and sound reasonable. They also are very good at playing the victim and selectively tell facts in a way that make you look unstable. And here's the hard truth. Courts often reward presentation before it uncovers pattern. I want to say that again because this matters. Courts often reward presentation before it uncovers patterns. If you are trauma activated and you are shaking and you are crying, you are overwhelmed, and if you're struggling to answer in a perfectly linear way, while he is sitting up there in his button down shirt, acting calm, it can feel deeply unfair because it is. But unfair does not mean unwinnable. That is the shift I want you to make today. Your job is not to outcharm him. Your job is to outdocument him, outprepare him, outlast the performance. And that is how you start changing the story in court. Let's talk strategy. Because when he lies, most women make one major mistake. They try to correct every single lie. And I get it, right? Because when someone is lying about your parenting, your sanity, your finances, your character, your children, your instinct is, I need to fix all of this right now, right? I cannot let the court believe all of these lies. But if you try to swat down every lie one by one, you will often look reactive, get emotionally overwhelmed, lose your train of thought, lose where you are in the process, and accidentally strengthen his narrative that you are too emotional or too conflict driven. Okay. That doesn't mean you ignore the lies, it means you stop fighting smoke and start proving pattern. And that is where your power is. Instead of asking, how do I respond to every false thing he said? I want you asking, what is the pattern he is trying to create? Because usually the lies are serving a theme. For example, he may be trying to create a narrative that you are unstable, you are alienating, you are financially irresponsible, you are uncooperative, you are dangerous, or you are keeping the children from him. That means your job is not to emotionally rebut every sentence. Your job is to build evidence that exposes the pattern, the motive, and the contradiction. That is a very different strategy and is far more effective. So, how do we actually expose lies in court? Let's get practical. If he is lying in court or in pleadings, pleadings are anything he files, petitions, motions, complaints, things like that. Here are the things that actually matter most. Number one, documents beat drama. If he says one thing and the records say another, that matters, right? Think text messages, emails, parenting app messages, financial statements, call logs, medical records, not yours, the children's, calendars, police reports, treatment records where appropriate, social media posts, photos, bank records, and call logs, especially. I actually had a case this past week where I had a client whose husband blew up her phone in the middle of the night. He contacted her 207 times in the course of a few hours. And we were able to show through call logs that he was acting erratically, impulsively, abusively. And we were able to get her a restraining order. So phone logs can be very, very helpful. Prior pleadings, prior things that he's filed against you. He may have said something in emotion like he needs sole legal and physical custody and you should only get supervised visitation. If there's no credibility behind that, that's something you maybe can use against him to show that he is the abusive parent. Prior affidavits, if your court allows affidavits, sworn written documents, witness statements, you can use those. There's affidavits that are financial in nature as well. You can use those, and if your jurisdiction allows them, in your financial case. One of the fastest ways to destroy credibility is contradiction, right? If he says one thing, but you've got a document that says another, the court's more likely to believe that tangible piece of evidence or that document. I will say this. With AI, things are changing a little bit. So I actually had a case again within the last week where a husband produced a document showing a receipt that he had paid for something. And we were able to take that receipt and compare it to a previous receipt that we knew that was original, that we knew was credible, and took his receipt. And there were some inconsistencies in that receipt. So we're pretty sure that he fabricated the receipt through AI. Now we're going to subpoena the actual vendor and see if we can get an original copy of that receipt to show that husband's receipt was a fraud, perpetrated a fraud upon the court. And that's going to completely change the trajectory of the case. So if he is producing evidence or producing documents and you're looking at them and scratching your head, like, I don't remember ever saying that in a text message, or I don't remember him ever paying for that thing, you might want to do a little bit more digging, because it might turn out that he is producing fraudulent documentation. These guys have no problems with lying, right? Their native language is lies. So, just a tip for you with documentation now in AI, it's something to be on the lookout for. If you think something looks fishy, you might want to look into it a little bit more. Generally speaking, courts, when they're evaluating a he said, she said, they're going to be looking at the documents to provide them with information that they need to assess credibility. They're not going to be looking at emotion. They're not going to be looking at outrage. They're going to be looking at, does the actual documents, the tangible evidence, contradict what he says? So if he says, she never lets me see the kids, but your records show he canceled, didn't confirm, didn't show up, or failed to exercise his time, that matters. If he says, I can't afford support, but he's traveling, buying toys for the children, moving money around, spending money on girlfriends, he's out there dating on Tinder or Bumble or wherever, and he's going on dates and spending all kinds of money on restaurants and entertainment. He's funding his own hobbies, going to sporting events, concerts, etc. Or suddenly broke, but only in litigation, that matters. Okay. And if he says, I'm concerned about the children, but there's no follow through, no consistency, no urgency outside of court, he doesn't pick them up on time, or he's missing his time with them, that matters too. So, another tip that I'm going to give you: timelines. Ways to defeat his lies. Timelines are incredibly powerful. It's something I use as an attorney. I think they're so helpful. One of the most effective things survivors can do is build a clean chronological timeline. And why? Because abusers thrive in confusion, fragmentation, emotional chaos, and memory overload. They want to get you all confused. A timeline forces facts into order. When facts are in order, manipulation starts to collapse. A good timeline can show when the abuse occurred, when it escalated, when separation happened, when he filed certain things against you, when he stopped paying support, when he suddenly became concerned, when the children started struggling, when school, therapy, or medical issues began to arise, if he violated orders and when the litigation abuse began to ramp up. That can be incredibly powerful for your attorney, for you, for your mediator, a GAL, and the court or your judge. So we want to be saving the pattern, not just the incident. That's why timelines are also very important, as is documentation, because a lot of women save only the big event, right? But what often persuades the court is not just one dramatic moment, it's repetition. It's the pattern of intimidation, financial sabotage, inconsistent parenting, manipulative communication, threats, blame shifting, disappearing and reappearing, sudden performative parenting during litigation, false emergencies, strategic accusations. So when the court sees a repeatable pattern, your credibility grows. So one of the biggest fears women have is, what if I don't say it right? Right? I need you to hear me. You do not have to be polished to be credible. Your testimony does not need to be perfect, but you do need to be clear. And when you testify, focus on facts, sequence, specifics, and impact instead of accusations, labeling, diagnosing, right? We don't want to say he's a narcissist and he's abusive and he ruins everything. Instead, try, on March 4th, he sent 27 messages between 11:42 p.m. and 2:10 a.m. after I told him I would only communicate through the parenting app. The children were present and were very upset. That is cleaner, more concrete, and more persuasive. not because your pain isn't real, but because the court responds best to specifics. And here you're not calling names, you're not labeling him, you're not diagnosing anything. You're being very factual and very specific and allowing the court to put labels on things or make presumptions about things. And that's what we want to do. So, what do we do when the judge still doesn't see it? I want to talk about the part nobody wants to say out loud. Sometimes, even when you do everything right, the judge still may not fully see it. Okay. I know that's painful. But if that has happened to you, I need you to hear this. A disappointing hearing is not always the final chapter of your case. Sometimes court is cumulative. Actually, court is mostly cumulative. You're usually not going to have one hearing. You're going to have many hearings over the course of many months or many years, especially if you have children. That means the first hearing plants the seed. The second hearing reveals inconsistencies. The third hearing may expose his patterns. And eventually the mask will slip. Okay. A lot of abusive people can perform for one hearing, but they are much worse at performing consistently over time. And that means your consistency matters more than one courtroom moment. Okay. And that's why your documentation matters, your preparation matters, your restraint matters, your credibility matters, and your long game matters. You need to be calm in court. I don't want you engaging with him. I don't want you screaming across the courtroom, you liar. I don't want you rolling your eyes at him, huffing and puffing and sighing and running out of the courtroom or yelling at the judge. Your first impression means everything because it's going to follow you through all of your hearings. Even if he's lying, even if it hurts, you've got to put on your poker face because that is going to follow you through and make a difference for your long game. Sometimes winning is not. I get full validation today. I get to tell my story and everything's going to go my way. Sometimes winning is I built the record. I stayed grounded. I testified. I told my story. I told my truth in front of him. I didn't implode under manipulation. I made the truth harder to ignore the next time. And that matters more than you know. I want to pause here for a moment and speak to the women who feel crushed by the lies. The one who has told the truth and still feels unseen. The one who has walked out of court and cried in the parking lot. The one who feels like evil is being rewarded. If that is you, I want you to hear this. God is not confused by what happened in that courtroom. He is not manipulated by charm. He is not fooled by performance. He is not intimidated by false narratives. And he is not absent just because the process feels unjust. Psalm 37 says, "Do not fret because of evildoers." That doesn't mean pretend it doesn't hurt. It means don't let evil convince you that truth has lost because it hasn't. Truth may take longer than you wanted. Justice may move slower than it should, but manipulation is not sovereign. God is. If all you can do right now is take the next wise step, that is enough for today. Before I close, I want to say again, thank you. Thank you for helping Live Free Legal reach 1 year. Thank you for being here for our 100th video. This community means so much to me. And because we're celebrating, don't forget to enter the birthday giveaway. Subscribe, like this video, and comment in the comments below, "Happy birthday, Live Free Legal." And share this video on Instagram, on Facebook, in a women's group, or with another woman who really needs to hear it. You'll be entered to win a free annual Empower Her membership and a spot in one of our upcoming legal 12-week coaching groups. Help us hit our birthday goal, 365 subscribers for 365 days for our 1-year birthday. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If this video hit home for you and you're realizing I need help getting organized, I need help preparing for court, I need help telling my story in a way the system can actually hear, that is exactly why I created Empower Her and our legal education group. Because women do not need just encouragement. They need strategy, structure, education, and support. You can learn more at www.livefreelegal.com. The link is in the description below. If this video helped you, remember, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with another woman who needs to hear it. Because the more you understand, the more power you have, and that power can absolutely change the outcome of your case. I will see you next week. I do a video every Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here at YouTube at Live Free Legal. God bless.